we were told that the people here are happy, even through hardship. They work hard, keep to themselves, and find peace in the mountains. They invite you in, share stories, and might even make a coffee for you. It's here, in the Happy Valley of Pennsylvania, where we heard of a farm ran by a man with many stories. A farm where the hardest working man isn't a man at all. And a place that offered more questions than answers. Like, how can running a frontier farm still be profitable? Or why do they have chefs from New York City at their doorstep? And what does a decorated fighter pilot know about soil health? This is what drove us to central Pennsylvania and a place called Thistle Creek Farms.
Do you know what? He said that to me yesterday. He said, Christy, you're going to have to sit where I am because you know how I struggle to talk about myself. And he does. He came to me one day and he said, Christy, the Vietnam War is something that hangs over my head. He said, what would you think if I learned to fly? His goal was to fly jets. He was a natural air combat maneuver pilot, which is one of the most challenging things to teach and learn.
George Lake had chosen a life in the Marine Corps, until a phone call in 1981 changed everything.
His father called and said, George, I need your help. I need you to come home. And he was afraid he was going to lose the farm. George said, Dad, I'm committed to be here, but I'll see what I can do.
But George ultimately chose his family.
I hated to leave. I couldn't even look at our pictures for a couple of years because I fit in the Marine Corps really well. I was built for that kind of activity.
When George returned home to help his dad, he left the Marine Corps as a colonel and an instructor. But now it was time to save the farm while building a family.
Christy, she goes, have you never heard of child labor laws? And I said, Christy, they're not coming home from school and sitting in front of a TV.
So with the help of their kids and a couple border collies, George and Christy began running Thistle Creek Farms.
And he said to me, Christy, my goal here is to bring back my grandfather's farm to the healthy soil that it started with. And he said, I'm going to work as hard as I can to do that.
In fact, I used to sing a Bellamy Brothers song. He's an old hippie. He doesn't know what to do. Should he hang on to the old or go on to the new? And I wanted to hang on to the old.
Which is why George honed in on building a grass-fed beef operation, where soil health is everything.
Well, I started grass-fed before there was a grass-fed market, really. And I thought, well, I have to grain finish them because that's what would sell.
There, right there, Moss. There, walk on.
But I had a co-pilot, one of my first officers said, listen, I want straight grass. I don't want any corn. He wanted a quarter, and I said, well, I wouldn't know what to do with the rest of it because I can't sell it like that. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll say a quarter and I'll keep the other. And I was surprised at how good it was.
After that day, George never went back to grain finishing his cattle, which ultimately steered the farm into decades of success. As it sits now, Thistle Creek Farms is a 700-acre operation. 400 of those acres are used as pasture for the farm's 500 head of cattle. 200 acres are designated for their sheep, while the last 100 acres consist of woodlands, cattle pens, and barns. George calls the operation a frontier farm because they rely little on heavy equipment and instead do the majority of work with their dogs and four-wheelers, along with their small team of workers and family members, like his son, Chris, who lives just a mile down the road.
George and Kristen, do you take one?
And as I told my brother a couple years ago, Chris will probably be a better farmer than me someday. Wherever he is on his trips, he'll text me and tell me what I need to do. And things like that. Keep me going in the right direction, because sometimes at my age I can't think past the end of my nose, so I'm kind of glad he pushes me a little bit like that.
Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control. Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control.
We can't talk about the cattle at Thistle Creek Farms without first talking about the grass.
We're going to fall seeding here. We're going to put roughly 30 pound to 35 pound of green fast down with a 5 pound alfalfa mix per acre.
Thistle Creek believes that this mixture, along with a few other European grasses, is their secret to success. Once the seed gets planted, it starts its approximate 7-month journey to its first grazing period in the spring, and will continually feed the cattle through the winter.
The end of October, we start to stockpile some grass that we will graze through the winter, but the majority of the winter we're feeding them forages that we've made all summer, and we take a pride in making some really high quality forages. We have to do that so they can still fatten and marble.
Marbling in beef refers to having little pockets of fat throughout the meat. Typically, more marbling means better tasting, and therefore more valuable. Thistle Creek relies on the sugar in the grasses for their marbling, instead of sending their cattle to feed lots, where they use grain, such as corn, to produce it.
Thistle Creek Farm is a unique farm. It is not the average or the norm farm in this area. There's very few farmers that pasture their cattle.
Considering the cows are outside 24/7, George can put less time and money into barns and equipment and focus more on the health of the herd and the soil.
It isn't because I'm so smart, I just didn't have money. And I thought, well, the cattle have 4 feet, and I only have 2. So there's got to be a way to have them do the work.
This is where rotational grazing comes in, which is routinely rotating cattle to different pastures. George rotates his cattle 3 to 5 times a day in approximately 3-acre sections.
Our son used to say, Dad, we're wasting so much feed. And I said, well, no, we're not. Because if you feed the livestock, if you take care of the livestock in the soil, it'll take care of the livestock on the soil. But we want them to graze a third of it. We want a third left for the sunlight, for the photosynthesis, because they'll grow back so much quicker. And we want a third of it smashed into the ground where the microbes and earthworms live.
It's amazing. He's a wealth of information. I mean, a lot of people from the state of Pennsylvania or nationally, and especially from Penn State University, which is nearby, come and really pick his brain and learn about, all that he knows about rotational grazing and grasses from different countries and things. It's pretty cool.
This philosophy is obviously working for Thistle Creek, because they haven't had to worry about weeds, pests, or fertilizers for decades. But how did George make moving hundreds of cattle 3 to 5 times a day feasible for the operation? Well, this is where his best friend Moss comes into the picture.
George couldn't live without dogs.
Moss, get out of there. You get in the water? I just happened to see a dog trial in Wales, and I thought, if I can find something that would do that with cattle, that would save so much energy for everybody.
So George taught himself how to be a dog trainer and had his first working border collie in 1985. Since then, the farm has had 10 of them.
Come by, Moss. There, lie down, Moss. Lie down, boy. Good, hold.
Currently, there are 3 border collies that work on Thistle Creek Farms. Moss is the leader and is George's right-hand man, just like his father Mac had been for a decade previous.
They usually last, they say 8 to 10 years, but ours work 10 to 12 without wearing out. I had Mac, he's kind of a famous dog in this area, and he's running as hard as he could, but he was about 12, He couldn't keep up, and he's just a real sharp dog. He laid down, and he never worked again. It was like he thought, I can't do this anymore. He's smarter than me, he quit.
They're available to work every day, and that's what they want to do. And people need breaks, and the dogs don't want to break.
They wouldn't get up on Christmas morning and go out into a howling snowstorm, and my dogs will, and they love it.
At 78 years old, George still herds and rotates hundreds of cattle every single day, saving the farm thousands of dollars a year in labor costs.
You know, I give them the command hold, which they'll just push the cows off the wire. Hold. Hold.
George directs his dogs to move the cows off the fence and hold them in place, while he moves the fence line farther down into the pasture, where fresh grass is waiting. He repeats this process 3 to 5 times a day throughout the grazing months of April to November.
It sounds like a lot of work, but it's not really. You know, it takes people, they go walk their dog for 15 minutes. I just moved the feeders in 10 minutes, and I'm walking the dog.
A feeder herd such as this one are roughly a year old and contain North Devon, Murray Grey, Red, Black and White Angus cattle. George told us that 60% of the cattle that go to market every year are Angus. 30% are Murray Greys, and the last 10% are Red Angus and Devon.
There's such a difference in genetics, and if you get the wrong genetics, you can't marble them on grass. So we work real hard on both the grasses and the genetics.
Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control. Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control.
Although George and his dogs are usually sufficient, not every move can be done by themselves. Today, the crew has to drive the cattle over 2 miles to a new pasture, under the tree canopies and across public roads and streams. For this kind of move, it takes a crew.
So there's 25 pairs in here. Kirk said, how many pairs, Kirk?
25 pairs total.
Oh, but an extra calf.
But an extra calf because
Because
of the
one had
pair of
twins.
twins in here.
They're right here in that brush right there. We're going to push them down over the hill, and then we're going to make sure we have them all in a more clear space, and then we'll bring them up and out and across that bridge, which is always a trick. Sometimes we end up with a calf in the water we have to jump in and get, and then it becomes kind of a circus. We never know.
Look at that. You got lucky right there. You got way
Uh-oh.
lucky. Come on, let's go.
Hey, wait, Kirk.
The heck?
All right, good. Come on, boy.
Sooner the better. This girl looks like she's gonna be struggling a little bit. Let's go, let's go.
Kirk, you come up behind them, and I'll make sure they don't go up the hill.
As the herd gets pushed to the hay wagon, they're counted one last time before moving onto the road.
That one you're filming is 18 years old. We had one last year, had a calf at 20, and then she went to market. If people get 12 to 16, they're happy with that. We get a lot that lasts just a lot longer.
Typically, Thistle Creek brings their cows to market at 2 years old, which is roughly 10 months older than cows from the feedlot, mainly to allow for additional marbling from the grasses. We were in awe watching this small team work together through the hiccups, and seeing how crucial of a role Kirk and Stephen play in this.
I'm sweating now.
Kirk and Stephen are integral, important parts of this. And I say that to George every day. Stephen and Kirk, reliable, honest, hardworking no matter the weather, no matter the job.
I was coming back through the woods, a 7-mile walk, and it was February, and I got lost. I mean, I had no idea where I was. So I called Stephen. He said, "Do you have maps on your phone?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Open it up." And he said, I did. And he said, "See that little blue dot?" He said, "That's you."
They look out for him. You know, they're like family.
So I've been working here about 13 and a half years. And working for George is just a blast. He's a great guy to work for. He's not one to take himself too seriously. He just enjoys working. I'll say this, if anything bad ever happens and George is involved, he's always very quick to take the blame for it. George will never throw the blame on anyone else or ever try to point it away from someone else. You know, he accepts that we all make mistakes. I've made some pretty big mistakes out here, but we've always worked through it, and we're always better people because of it. You don't meet people like that very often anymore in this day and age, but he values that, and I value that too. So that's why we work together quite well.
As the 2-mile drive comes to a close, the 25 cow-calf pairs now have brand new pasture to reside in. The last stage of raising beef cattle is getting them to market, and with Thistle Creek's unique 100% grass-fed philosophy, this is where the farm thrives.
We sell 18 to 20 a month, and that's plenty for us. We have a lot more market that we could go to, and our animals go into New York, into Brooklyn, and they've gone all the way down to West Palm Beach and went to multi-million-dollar yachts.
And they've had chefs come from New York City, tour this farm, that buy their beef and then sell it in their New York City restaurants. And I think it's such a cool thing. And I don't know if anyone else does that, you know, has tours of chefs coming from New York City to see that grass-fed operation and understand, you know, the value of the grass-fed beef product.
Thistle Creek Farms told us that in a typical year, 60% of their meat gets sold to 2 butcher shops, 1 local and 1 out of Brooklyn, New York. 20% is sold to local restaurants, and the last 20% is sold direct to consumer. With a higher demand than supply, the farm can sell their product at a higher price than the standard feedlot finished cattle.
My family will tell you I hate to raise my price. Our gross profit is so much higher because we don't have equipment. The dogs, I don't have to pay my dogs.
The money has come later. And our accountant went from saying, "You need to be showing a profit," to saying, "We need to spend some of this on something."
With an estimated 200,000 pounds of meat sold every year, beef cattle contributes to 85% of their yearly revenue.
You know, it's just grown. It's customers telling other customers. That has become our most valuable asset.
Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control. Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control.
Although beef is the farm's focus, they still have roughly 120 head of ewes, or female sheep, that will produce around 250 lambs every year, which gets sold to local markets. Lamb sales account for the last 15% of the farm's yearly revenue. The sheep are rotated year-long on a 10-mile pasture loop, meaning they never graze the same grass twice in a year. For Thistle Creek Farms, moving sheep also gives an opportunity for dog training, with George's grandson Evan and his dog Maggie.
So when I say come by means like she'll go around the sheep clockwise. And then when I say away, that's opposite of clockwise. And then walk on, which is she usually goes behind them and she just keeps pushing them from the back. And that's usually what we'll do because that's what we'll be pushing them down the road.
11-year-old Evan seems as if he has already spent a lifetime at the farm thanks to his dad Chris and Grandpa George.
Good boy.
Oh, Maggie.
She's just so excited. No, Moss!
I think if you don't have something productive for kids to do, they're going to get in trouble. They're only going to play these, all these kids now are just playing all these gaming stuff, which my kids will still get in trouble. They'll still want to play games, but I think it's important for them to learn a work ethic. It's another way for us to spend time together and a It's just awesome, I think, to be out there and work with your family.
We'll go out there maybe 20 or 30 yards away from the sheep, and you can send her out. She doesn't know the commands real well yet, but she'll have a natural instinct to run out. She doesn't get them gathered. We'll send Moss out to help out, which will probably happen, which is fine because she's still in the process of learning how to do it. She's a gentle thing.
Come by, Maggie, come by. Maggie, come by, come by, come by.
Not too hard.
Oh, Maggie, Maggie. Maggie, come here.
Come by, Moss. Come by, come by, come by. Come by. Get her to lie down and we'll move them that way towards the gate.
Okay.
Me, right there, walk on. Away, away, Moss, away to me. Run up there with him, Evan. Run up with Maggie. Maggie, take time, Maggie.
Right there, Maggie. Maggie, lay down. Good girl, lay down, bye.
She's doing well. You have her trained nice on the lie down, and you'll have to teach her the come-bys and the away twos. Moss, come by, come by. Come by, Moss.
Watching George and Evan work together showed us how much farming means to families like the Lakes. It's been the glue that has kept them close for decades. And the operation wouldn't succeed without the help of everyone. But with George being 78 years old, his number of days at the helm are uncertain. And with many kids and grandkids, it's hard to say who is going to be a part of the operation in the years to come. But it's likely Chris will have a major role in it. He followed George's footsteps into the military, becoming a fighter pilot, and now next in line to be owner of Thistle Creek Farms, an almost identical path to his father.
He's a better person than I am, but I strive to be like him, I guess. He's done a lot of really interesting things in his life, but he's very humble.
And I think George will work until he can no longer work. That's his dream, and I'm okay with that. If that's what he wants, he should be able to do what he wants in life. It's a passion that doesn't die just because you age.
Farming has become a romance for me.
Walk on, boys. Good dogs, good dogs.
If two farms are doing it exactly the same, one of them is wrong. Build it and they will come. Get off the commodity roller coaster and sell your product yourself. It's not so much about money, it's about lifestyle and family, and in the small communities, everyone knows everyone. It's just a great lifestyle. And I wouldn't trade it for Taylor Swift's money. I just like what I do.
As our time was coming to an end at Thistle Creek Farms, we sat down with the Lakes one last time over some Thistle Creek steaks. And let's just say it all makes a little more sense now. During our time here, we learned that giving up your passion to help your family could ignite another. Or sometimes your coworkers start to look a lot like family members. And lastly, a hippie, a fighter pilot, and a farmer may have something more in common than we originally thought.